marketing communications industry. For me, this is really fascinating because it's how the creative industry is embracing Agile. This guy here, Xavier, we were coming to the keynote, but we got really caught up. Some really interesting stuff going to come out. Xavier's had a brilliant experience in London over the last 7 years. Originally from Spain, and is off on another big adventure shortly, which we may get to or not. But please, put your hands together and a big welcome to Xavier.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming to my talk. My name is. Sorry. My name is Xavier, and people usually have a problem remembering or pronouncing this, but that's only until I tell them my second surname, good luck with that. Some people think I'm French, but no, I'm Spanish. I've been working in London for the last few years, and I am currently the head of social at an advertising agency. And so today I'm going to talk about how the advertising industry is starting to borrow Agile principles to distribute concepts, create concepts. But firstly, and perhaps more interestingly, I'm going to talk about how I borrow Agile techniques to manage and build a team in a non-software kind of context. And it all started because I think it must have been a year ago, I wrote an article on e-consultancy about how I was using stand-ups and retrospectives and kanban boards to manage a team that had nothing to do with software development. And Alan got in touch and thought that it could be interesting for me to talk. And at the beginning, I felt really honored. And then, as this was nearing, I started to feel like this girl here, not small and cute, but facing a tall audience. I'm not software development. I never had training in Agile. So all I kind of learned is seeing other people doing it, working in technology companies. So to start from the beginning. I joined Unruly Media, which is a video distribution technology company, a few years ago as an account manager. And to simply explain what Unruly does, jargon-free, is gets a video from an advertiser and puts it in front of people by using different media like websites and blogs digitally. So my job then was to manage client relationships and deliver those campaigns by getting those videos and putting them on different media. And my job was not to find the media, that's the media team's job. And at the time I didn't think they were doing a great job, but it's nobody's fault. I was having a bit of a moan, but it's nobody's fault because sometimes in the startups and teams grow faster than others, and it's just the way it is. So when I had an opportunity to join the media team, I thought maybe I can do a good job here. So I jumped onto it. So the media team looked a bit like that. I don't know. Dangerous Minds. The job of the media team was to find blogs and websites all around the world that could be interested in commercial partnerships or creative ideas for our advertising clients. And because we had to go to places not to go, we had to talk to people in Thailand, Korea, all across the globe. It was really important that we could hire really quickly people that could speak those languages. And then the problem was that we had a really high turnover, people were really low skilled, and then at the end of the day, people didn't really care. So I remember when I first entered the room where they were, they looked at me like that, they really didn't care. So then, I worked really hard for a few months. It was really painful. I started looking into how we were doing things and just improving. And it meant that I had to work a lot of hours. And we started seeing some benefit, but I still saw that we weren't getting anywhere because everything was kind of resting on me. So then I thought I really need to change this. And one morning I had a bit of an epiphany, and I thought, why if I do one of these stand-ups that developers do? And I had never been into one, but I just kind of felt that it would bring a lot of benefits to the team. I thought it could bring energy, it could bring the sense of a team, so I just went and did one. And at the beginning it was a bit like that because they didn't know what was going on, they thought I was kind of controlling what they were doing, and to some extent it was a bit like that, but actually it wasn't all about that at all. So after a few months, we started to really see the benefits. I'm a really big fan of the office, that's why. So we saw that the standards were bringing to us first a sense of purpose, like people really started to feel that they were there to do a job, like before they were there just to make some money, do whatever they were told. Then they started to feel that they had a job to do and a purpose. It gave us a platform to receive feedback, like people could really reward each other when they were getting somewhere, when they were delivering campaigns on time, they could, high-five each other. It all started being quite exciting. And then the other thing that was really interesting was that people could start seeing that they were there for each other. So if you had a problem with your campaign, maybe someone else in the team may have done something similar, or maybe has a bit of time to spare, and then maybe you guys can help each other. And that was beautiful, how people will start helping each other and caring for each other. So from going from, well, you have a job to do, you come here, you do what you're told, and then you go home, to kind of get together every morning and see what you're up to, help each other. I think it was really great. And then, very important, we had a lot of fun with that. We started developing our own, etiquette and jokes. Like, we noticed that every time the startup started, girls would compliment each other on their dresses, and then that became a bit of a routine. And then, if it was Friday, we would say what we would do on the weekend, yes, 15 minutes, and yes, really focus on the task, but it gave us an opportunity to joke and have this sense of family. And we ran startups from the first day that I started until the very last day. I was always really keen on never miss a stand-up. We would never allow this to happen. So if I was going on holiday, someone else would take over, and we did stand-ups until my last day. So it was really important that it always happened. And I think it really helped us massively. And I've been thinking about this a lot. And then I was reading this book. So basically, this has helped me enormously, and I've been always thinking, why has it helped me? And I was reading this book, which I highly recommend, on the power of habit. It's about the psychology of how habits are formed and they develop. And the researchers tell the story of a military academy in North New York called West Point, which is, military academy. There's teenagers that go there to study and become soldiers. So it's really tough, and there's a guy there that explains how in the first 3 months they really want to bring you down because they want to make sure that you're tough enough to study there for a couple of years. And the researchers study the correlation between your IQ, your self-discipline, your physical endurance, and found precisely no correlation from how likely you were to graduate. But they found correlation with something that they call grit. And how likely you were to graduate. And grit is kind of defined as your ability to push through challenges even though when you see no progress, and just your ability to be really tough and hard worker. And what the researchers found interesting is how that grit emerges from the culture that cadets created for themselves. So there's this teenager that out of the blue explains how the reason he's done really well at the school is because he found 4 guys that every morning can go talk to, and they kind of review how they're feeling every morning. And if some of them is feeling really down, the others can motivate each other and kind of go through challenges. They're doing a stand-up, they don't know what it's called. It probably doesn't last 50 minutes, but the key thing is that they get together and they motivate each other, and I think it's really amazing. I was really thrilled when I found this. The other thing we did that was really important for us was having these boards on the wall. That's something, again, that I saw the developers doing, and I thought this could be interesting. So we put cards on the wall with the projects we were working on for people to talk through the projects. This was to make sure that people could visualize the workload and could just limit the amount of work we could do and we knew we could do. So basically, we would just go through the campaigns we were running, and people would say how they were doing and how they were getting on, which meant that people could say, oh, sorry, I'm not going to be able to deliver this, can you help? And that, again, helped do the standards more efficiently. A few months later, I got in charge of the offices in New York and Stockholm and all the other offices that we had, which meant that we had to move online. And I discovered Trello, which if you don't use, most of you will be fine probably, but if you aren't, check it out because it's really amazing. And we started using this, which meant that, again, We could have cards for projects, which meant that people could comment and say, I'm really struggling with this, do you know people in this country, how do I do this, do you have any ideas for how to improve this? And we will use this as well to have ideas, for people to comment on ideas. We always try to make the team really creative, and that to me was important, because when I started, people didn't really see themselves as creative or doing any kind of job. Whereas later they always wanted to have ideas and run with their own projects, and this really allowed us to do that. So, I mean, everything went really well. Sometimes we felt that everything went really well, I think. We all did a really good job, and we all built a great team. And ever since then, I've been thinking, what is there to Agile that made it work? Because the way I learned about Agile is about people building software that uses Agile to build better software, and that gets early to market, but then it's really helped me to do something that has nothing to do with software. So one of the things that I've thought is that obviously there's psychology behind what we do in Agile. So if you think of stress would be your perception that what you're demanded is more than what you can do. So if you limit your workload and you can visualize what you have to do, that's going to effectively reduce your stress. So if you're able to say, sorry, I can only do until this, then you're going to go home at 6 and you're going to be able to do it. So that's really going to reduce your stress. And then you probably know that if you're not stressed, you're going to be more creative, you're just going to be happier, you're going to be able to think better. So that's for once. But then something really interesting that I've been doing some thinking about is how for a million years, we've been doing things by walking to places and talking to people. Like we would go out and hunt animals, and then we would go back to the caves and kind of draw what we were doing, just to explain to other people. And then, the women would stay in the caves, we were a big sex of them, and they would hunt, and they would gather, and they would grow vegetables, and they would talk to other people in the tribe about how to do it. And then we would all probably go together to the campfire and kind of exchange stories about how we were doing stuff. And the reason that we have been doing that for the last million years means that it is hardwired in our brains. But even thousands of years later, we started trading with things, and we started selling our stuff to other people. But the way you did that is by going to someone and say, this is amazing, you want to buy it, this is what it does. And people could ask questions and could sell to other places. So forever we've been doing things by talking to people and going to places and walking to places. And I was talking the other day with a creative technologist friend of mine, and he said, my best friend is my pencil. I do everything with paper and pencil. I walk everywhere. I go to work to different places, because when I sit down, I feel really unproductive. I even write code on paper, and then I take time to put it on the computer. And I thought that was really amazing, because it means that we're hardwired to do things by standing and getting to places, and yet at some point everything kind of went wrong, and we sat people down. We built all these computers, it's amazing. We built the cubicles, and to me, a lot of the stuff has gone wrong since then. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great that you can send an email to someone, because the other day I wrote a normal letter to someone just for the fun of it, and it took 3 hours to do the whole process. And I love that I can listen to my music and chat to people in real time, and obviously people in other offices, and that's all amazing. But I really want managers to consider the way they do things and how they can bring a bit more excitement to people by just having more standards, more events, meetings that are more to the point, that are more about getting stuff done and how to bring that excitement into place. Because otherwise, we end up with this really corporate office where people go and sit down for 8 hours, and I don't think it's that productive. So that's the first bit. Then I went to an advertising agency that looks a bit more like this, because you need to juggle a lot of balls, and it's beautifully chaotic. And I know that most of you will not come from an advertising background, so I'm going to explain how marketing works. The first thing we do is we identify a need. It could be that, like when you have a cold and you need to blow your nose all the time, who hasn't got a need, you came up with something, or like when it's a very summery day and you go with your beautiful dress and then it starts raining, we can create umbrellas for your shoes. Or, you know, like when the food is really hot and you really want to start eating, that's the most annoying thing in the world. So we can attach a fan to your arm, make sure that the noodles are in the right temperature by the time it gets to your mouth. So we identify urgent needs like this, and then we come up with a concept. We usually do this by going to a room. We usually brainstorm. We put our feet in the table, and then we talk about our lives for a bit. And sometimes we commission research to tell us that we were right in the first place. Actually, sometimes we come up with really good concepts. I don't know if you know the Marmite concept. I think is really good. People tend to forget Marmite. The back of the cupboard, so this is really connecting with people through some kind of relevant methods. And then we get and say, okay, this is our idea. We're going to spend £2 million and we're going to buy all the media and we're going to start 6 months later. Let's say this is the day we're going to start. We're just going to boom, throw it out there and see what happens. And then we measure everything and we send enough reports to the client to make sure that they don't ask questions. So I think a lot of what we do is wrong. I don't know if it's easy to solve because actually, you know, it's cheaper to buy media all at once. You know, we're really busy. We can't really be changing things all the time. So all I'm saying is that, you know, I don't think we're doing it right. I think there's a space for disruption and a lot of people are trying a bit. And the reason we're really trying is because actually we really need to try because things are not the way they were 30 years ago or even 5 years ago. It took almost 3 years for Twitter and Facebook to get to 10 million users, but it took 16 days to Google+. And if you see Pinterest or Instagram or Vine, all these guys would be kind of here, people are just much quicker at adapting technology and just change their minds all the time. People these days are more. People these days are more like this. I don't know if you read the book The Shallows, which explains what the internet is doing to our brains. Whichever way you look at it, people do change their minds much quicker. People want to talk about what is happening right now in real time with Twitter and Facebook. So when you come up with an advertising concept, you're looking at the side gigs of right now, but it could not be what people are interested in 6 months later. And so, you know, there's something wrong there. You can see how something is wrong. Companies are looking at this in two different ways. When you see, if you work in advertising and you hear about Agile and the advertising industry, you're probably hearing about brands like Orion and Specsavers, which are doing really interesting tactical advertising, which is something is happening. We're going to create an ad that is about what is happening right now, and that's probably not Agile, but that's what we're calling Agile at the moment. So Oreo's example is really great, actually. When the Super Bowl, there was this light power cut, which meant that the stadium went obscure, like dark, for 40 minutes. So there was like, you know, thousands of tweets every second talking about this. That's what people wanted to talk about, right? So what Oreo did was in 45 minutes, they created this promoted tweet with this email saying you can still dance in the dark. You know, it's funny, it's relevant, it's on brand, and it's what people want to see in the moment. So they got 15,000 retweets and something like 5,000 favorites, which is, you know, really good results, really quickly, and reaching millions of people at the right time about the things that we wanted to talk about, and obviously they generated all this PR. It costs something like £20,000 to do such campaign, but it costs 4 million to be on 30 seconds in the Super Bowl. So you start to see how, you know, it really pays off to be able to be tactical, be relevant, be on the time, and do real-time planning. So that's one thing we're talking about. But then I found something. I'm going really quick. Going really quick. You better have a lot of questions. I found something really interesting that I saw an agency doing, which was, I thought, a truly agile approach to advertising. Usually in advertising, again, as I said, you would go into a room, you would discuss different things, you would have a bit of a think about what you want to do, you would come with a big idea, which pleases the art director, and then you would go away, you would shoot it, you would produce it, and then you would buy the media and you would buy it. By the time it gets to the consumer, you already have bought all the media, and that's going to go out whatever happens. And it may be that consumers don't like it. It may be that it's not right anymore. And that's, as I said, is where the problem lies. What this agency did was to say, why don't we try 50 things, 50 concepts on Facebook, see which one gets us the most engagement, see which one gets the most positive comments, and we try that. And it's really simple actually, and it's really marrying the whole earned media with owned media and paid media that we're always talking about. So you go on Facebook and you say, we're gonna do this, or we're thinking about doing that, and you do 50 of those for a month, and then you take the 10 ones that people are reacting the best, people are liking and commenting more, and you can do this for no budget at all, so it's really good testing platform. And then you take those 10 or 5, and then you run a display advertising campaign, which again is easy to deploy, is kind of, you can switch it on and off whenever you want, and it's really measurable. So you can say, I'm going to run these 10 campaigns, and then I'm going to measure the click-through rates, and how many people buy my product, or how many people go to the site based on the different concepts. You try those different 5, and by the time you try them, really your audience hasn't been aware of what's going on. And then you can confidently say, this is what people really want to do. This is what people have liked on Facebook. This is what people have seen on my banner and clicked through it and bought stuff on the back of it. This is what I really want to do. And it could be that this idea, it could be that the art director hated it. It could be that the client hated it. But by the time you get here, you say, but this is what the people want to do. And in this case, this is what they came up with. How random is it? But that's what your people want, is GitHub. Every time you unlock a phone, we're going to release a chicken. There's no way that in a traditional kind of advertising planning you would come up with that, because it's kind of ugly and I don't even like it. But that's what people want to do. And it just proves that you kind of need to look at what the people want to do rather than what you want to do. So that's it really. I'm really sorry that I've gone too fast. But I only done it because I'm really interested in having a bit of a bit of a conversation and a few questions. Additional questions.
Yeah, sure. Fascinating, brilliant. Thank you. So, do we have some questions?
I'm going to really